Aston Villa had more shots than Paris Saint-Germain. More touches inside the opposition box. 5 clear scoring chances. And a 17-year-old striker, making his first competitive appearance for the club, days after a registration dispute with FIFA nearly kept him off the pitch entirely. Who could have scored a hat-trick against the European champions? And PSG still won. That's the story of the 2026 Super Cup, and it's far more interesting than a highlight reel of Parisian dominance, because there wasn't one. In this video, how Villa found the crack in PSG's defense that 3 other teams have found before them, the substitution at halftime that decided the trophy, the case that this is now a genuine dynasty, and the case that it isn't, not yet. And subscribe in advance. If the video doesn't deliver, you can just unsubscribe at the end. Deal? Let's start with the boy who nearly ruined it. Brian Madjo is 17 years and 212 days old. Until a few days before this final, it wasn't certain he'd be allowed to play at all. Villa had been in a dispute with FIFA over his registration, and clearance came through late. So his first competitive match for Aston Villa was a European final against the reigning champions of Europe in front of Marquinhos and Willian Opacho. And within 25 minutes, it was obvious the plan was to feed him. John Mulligan kept whipping crosses to the back post. Madjo attacked everyone. 28th minute, a header inches wide. Then a shot past the post. Then a misdirected header from close range. Then the woodwork. He missed 4 openings that a more experienced striker converts. And then, right before halftime, took the hardest chance of the lot on the volley, first time, and buried it. 1-1. And with that, he became the youngest goalscorer in the history of the UEFA Super Cup. His final numbers: 6 shots, 4 big chances, and just under 1 expected goal. 1 shot on target all night, and it went in. So no, this wasn't a teenager riding one lucky moment. This was a 17-year-old who spent 45 minutes personally dismantling the best defense in Europe, and only his finishing saved PSG from a much worse evening. So how did Villa do it? Because this matters far more than the trophy. Unai Emery didn't try to outpossess PSG. Nobody does that anymore. He targeted one specific structural weakness. PSG's fullbacks, Achraf Hakimi and Nuno Mendes, push extraordinarily high. That's the entire point of them. But it means that when Paris lose the ball in midfield, the space behind those full-backs is enormous, and the center-backs are left exposed in one-against-one duels they haven't chosen. So Villa's plan was blunt and effective. Survive the first press, move it quickly to Mulligan, and get the ball to the back post, where a physically enormous teenager was waiting for Opacho. By the 54th minute, Villa led the shot count 11-4. 61% possession, and PSG were being outchanced in their own final. And here's the number that should genuinely worry Luis Enrique. Since the start of the 2024-25 season, only 3 sides have created more than 5 big chances against PSG in a single match, and one of them was Aston Villa, back in April 2025. Bayern managed it. Allianz managed it. And now Villa have done it again with 5. That's not a fluke or a bad night. That's a repeatable method. Attack the space the full-backs leave, put a powerful center forward against Opacho, and load the far post. Every coach in Europe now has the tape. So how did PSG win anyway? One decision. Ousmane Dembélé started on the bench. In his place, Ousmane Dembélé, a debutant, drifted between the lines and had almost no impact in the final third. At halftime, Luis Enrique took him off and sent Dembélé on, and the entire attacking structure changed. Dembélé dropped into a false nine, pulling Villa's center-backs into a decision they didn't want to make. That freed Désiré Doué to move right. Kvaratskhelia kept stretching Matty Cash on the left. And suddenly, Villa's defenders had no single reference point to track. 61st minute, Dembélé drops, receives, and slides the perfect ball through for Doué, who runs onto it and finishes past Khvicha. The flag went up offside. Ivar looked again. Cash on the far side was playing him on. Goal. 2-1. And look at who was involved. Kvaratskhelia stretched them, Dembélé created it, Doué scored it. All three of PSG's attacking weapons in one move. Which is the real theme of this team. PSG used to be a club that built a system around superstars. Now the superstars work for the system. Dembélé, the man who was arguably the best player in Europe last season, starts on the bench, comes on, plays as a false nine, presses first, creates space for other people, and decides the game with one pass. Meanwhile, Doué, at 21, has now scored in a Champions League final and scored the winner in a Super Cup final. He became the first player since Luis Suarez in 2015 to record a goal and an assist in a single Super Cup. So Dynasty, let's take it seriously because the case is strong. Back-to-back Champions Leagues, 2025 and 2026. In the modern era of the competition, only Real Madrid have retained it before them. Back-to-back Super Cups, making PSG only the fourth club ever to do that, after Ajax, Milan, and Real Madrid. In the 2025 calendar year, they won 6 trophies: Ligue 1, the French Cup, the French Super Cup, the Champions League, the Super Cup, and the Intercontinental Cup. 64 matches, 48 wins, 173 goals, all club records. And look at the route to the 2026 European title: 5-4 against Monaco, 8-2 against Chelsea, 4-0 against Liverpool, 6-5 against Bayern, and then Arsenal in the final, 1-1, won on penalties. They beat teams by demolition, by shootout, by surviving chaos. That's not one style of winning. That's a team with several. And the terrifying part is the ages. The average age of the side that won the Champions League this year was 24 years and 221 days, the third youngest winner in the tournament's history. Doué is 21. João Neves is 21. Zaire Emery is 20. Apacho and Nuno Mendes are 24. Kvaratskhelia is 25. Vitinha is 26. This isn't a peak that's about to decline. It's a core that could stay together for another 5 years. And there's no single scorer dependency either. 4 different players scored 5 or more in the Champions League last season, and PSG's substitutes contributed 29 goals across all competitions, the most of any club in Europe's top 5 leagues. Then add the manager. Among coaches with at least 50 Champions League matches, Luis Enrique has the best win percentage in history. He has won all 3 Champions League finals he's ever contested. But I'm not going to tell you the dynasty is finished and confirmed, because tonight is the argument against it. Look at the margins. The Champions League final was won on penalties after a 1-1 draw. This Super Cup was won by a goal that needed Ivar to survive. Villa outshot them 15-12 and created 5 big chances. The defensive weakness is documented and repeatable. And there's the calendar. 15 PSG players were at the World Cup this summer, and the French, Spanish, and Moroccan internationals returned to training 2 days before this final. Luis Enrique said publicly beforehand that his team wouldn't be at their usual level. He was right, and that's a problem that doesn't end tonight. Fatigue, injuries, a press that can't be sustained at full intensity for a whole season. 2 European Cups is the foundation of a dynasty. It is not yet a dynasty. A third one in 2027 makes it history. So here's the honest conclusion, and it's more unsettling than PSG are unbeatable, because they aren't unbeatable. Villa proved that tonight. Arsenal proved it in May. The real shift is this: PSG no longer need to be at their best to win a European final. They can be underprepared, outshot, exposed at the back, and pushed to the limit by a 17-year-old making his debut and still walk away with the trophy, because they have 3 world-class attackers, a bench that changes games, and a coach who fixed the whole thing with 1 halftime substitution. The Super Cup didn't prove PSG are perfect. It proved they've stopped needing to be. So tell me in the comments, is this the start of the first real dynasty since Zidane's Real Madrid, or a team winning on fine margins that will finally get punished? And for the tactical people, if Villa's blueprint is now public, attack the space behind the full-backs, put a physical striker on Pacho, flood the back post. How long before somebody executes it properly and knocks PSG out? And if you want the full breakdown of how the transfer market went completely out of control this summer, that video is already on the channel.